Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Hello and welcome back to the Body by Design podcast. I'm going to do a really quick one this week, but I think it's a topic that's not really discussed a lot. So at the moment you are hearing you're under-muscled, you need to get stronger, you need to build more muscle. That message is getting out there. Muscle's good for hormone health, muscle's good for longevity, being strong is good. But how strong is strong enough? How much muscle is enough? And I think that that's what's not being talked about enough. So I'm going to talk about it from the context of most women who come into my coaching are looking for, they want improved energy, improved hormone balance, they want to kick perimenopause symptoms in the arse. They want to feel better, sleep better, but they also want that desirable, sexy feeling body again. Maybe they had something like that in their 20s and they feel like they lost it through the years of having children or chasing a career, and now they just want to feel hot and sexy again, and they want that sculpted look. They want some shape to their body. So let's use that as our baseline of how strong or how much muscle is enough muscle. The first thing you really need to establish is what is your baseline? And there is a few things that we can use to actually determine how much muscle you currently have. I have a body composition tool. There's plenty online that you can go and research. The tool that I've got that I use with my clients, I've researched all the different formulas out there. I found the one that works the best for 40 plus women, and that's the calculations that I use. So it's based on a mathematical calculations from your weekly average weight, some of your measurements that you take on your body, and then you can work out your muscle mass and body fat percentage, which is pretty cool. So that's a way of establishing actual muscle amount. And if you can establish where you are and you know you need to increase, it's a great way to monitor, is what I'm doing helping me increase my muscle mass? And that's what you want to be tracking, your muscle mass over time, because otherwise you could live for 3, 4, 6 months, whatever, then look at it and go, well, I haven't grown any muscle, but I was told muscle was slow to grow. So at what point do you start guessing, have I grown enough muscle, or am I even growing muscle? So establishing your baseline. You can also use a DEXA scan, an in-body scan, just whatever you choose to use. Make sure that it's consistent, that you're going to be able to do that at least monthly, I would say. So if you're using scanning, I would say do monthly scans if you can. It will definitely tell you in the early stages, am I heading in the right direction? Am I gaining muscle? So we really want to establish where we are. The other thing is how strong are you? So that's a quantity of muscle mass in kilos, lean muscle mass on your body. And is that increasing? That's very important to know. But also, how strong are you? And in terms of how strong you are, working in a calculated 1 rep max is actually a really great foundational way to look at things. So someone might go, oh, I can deadlift, 60 kilos for 10, and another person might go, oh, well, I can do 80 for 4. But who is stronger? When you actually multiply out the reps and the amount of weight you're lifting, you get a theoretical 1 rep. So if you were to be able to pull 1 rep off the floor and that was it, how many kilos could you do? And you work that out by doing 1 set to failure, and you do the calculation of the reps to the amount of weight that you lifted. Now, again, there's plenty of calculators online that do 1 rep max, tables that you can use, that sort of thing, so you can actually see what your 1 rep max is. I think working with your 1 rep max to begin with is really where we want to go. This is the baseline for a woman who wants health, longevity, but wants some shape, wants to look toned, wants to have a bit of a look that she's in the gym and working out. She wants the cap shoulders, the booty, that sort of thing. Now, keeping in mind this is baseline. This baseline that I'm going to talk about, the amount of muscle you can see will be determined, like always, the amount of muscle you can see is determined by the amount of body fat that is actually over the top of you. So if you work out how strong you are and reach these 1 rep maxes, Usually, if you get your body fat between 15 and 20%, you will see shape on your body. So you've got to go on the lower end. Obviously, if you don't want to be on that lower end, or metabolically, maybe you can't hold fat that low, or you just don't want to be you have to be really, really committed to keep your body fat that low and that lean all the time, all year round. So if you can actually build beyond that, that's when you could really comfortably sit at 20% and know that you still look really sculpted. So there is another point beyond this baseline. But this baseline is something that we're from experience and seeing it all through my clients, where women are the happiest and where they start to show muscle and can actually go, wow, I feel strong, I look strong, I've got shape, I'm confident. So when we're talking about 1 rep maxes, let's take our basic 3 big lifts. Now, you may be doing a different variation of it, so there may be some differences in this. So for example, I'm going to use deadlift. Now, if you're doing an RDL or a stiff leg deadlift, it's actually going to be slightly lower because you can't move as much weight in that movement pattern as you can in a conventional deadlift. But for a point of reference, let's use our conventional deadlift, our conventional barbell bench press, and our conventional barbell back squat. Let's look at those 3 big lifts and give you an idea. So to know how strong you are, you also want to be tracking your lifts within the gym, because you're going to want to know, where am I now? And where am I progressing? Am I getting stronger? And you're not going to know if you're getting stronger if you're changing your pattern variation or your order of exercises week to week, for weekly. I highly recommend finding a program that works for the number of days that works you. Anywhere between 3 and 5 can work, just depending on what sort of a lifestyle you've got, how much time you want to spend in the gym. Anywhere in there will work, okay? And in a structure that you can recover from. Some people can't recover from an upper lower split and can do an anterior posterior on a 4-day split. So it all varies. So you want to be able to recover from that split. What else do we want to consider? How many days a week you can lift, and make sure you enjoy the exercises. Like, get the movements that you enjoy, and then just get fucking strong. Keep them in the same order so you have the same level of fatigue in your body. So if you start with a deadlift and then go to a leg extension and, whatever it is, but you come in one day and you go, oh, fuck it, I'm going to start with a leg extension and then go do my deadlifts, and you can't lift as much. The reason why is you've pre-fatigued yourself in the leg extension, which you don't normally do. So keeping the order of exercise is really quite important when tracking your lifts. So you want to track your lifts. Am I increasing by weight or reps each week? A bit of a rep range, work your way up to the top, add some weight, and keep tracking that over time. And have a look at your 1 rep max each week. Did I get stronger in my 1 rep max? So sometimes I might come in and I'm going to round off and go, a conventional deadlift, if you did 100 kilos for 7, it would be 120 kilo 1 rep max. Now, this is going to vary for people, so don't come at me with, I can't be that weight, whatever. But the average woman, if we picked 60 kilos for an average height woman, it might be higher if you're taller, it might be lower if you're shorter. So if we picked a woman that was around 60 kilos, an average height, and could deadlift 100 kilos for 7, that's 120 kilos. So that is double her body weight. And the average woman for a really healthy weight is going to be in that 60, 65 range. Okay, so I'm not saying you're unhealthy if you're at 70. I'm just saying that generally with body fat percentages, 60 to 65 is where most women should kind of sit depending on your height. So that would be a deadlift of 120. If it was 100 kilos for 7, it actually works out to a 120 kilo deadlift. And that would mean that the average woman is deadlifting double her body weight. And that is where you want to be with a deadlift. Going into a barbell back squat, you want to be around 1.5 of your weight. So that would be a 1 rep max of around 90 kilos if your ideal weight was at a 60 kilo woman. And then you go to your bench press and you want to do around your body weight in a 1 rep max, which would be around 60 kilos, obviously. So they're the kind of guidelines you want to use. And I think that if you can get to that and then put your body fat percentage at between the 15 and 20%. Now, I will say the lower you go below 20, the more metabolically healthy you need to be. And you need to be in a place in your life where you don't have massive amounts of stress. Yes, we all have everyday life stresses of the husband being an idiot and leaving his socks on the floor, or the kids, driving you mad for whatever reason, or you're under the pump at work. They're actually normal daily stresses. And yes, you can have stressful times in those, but I'm talking about metabolically, is your body healthy? Are you out of stresses physically? Are you fueling yourself really right? Emotionally, are you fairly stable in your life? I've been through life where I wasn't metabolically, did everything right, had the 1 rep max, ate the food, did everything, but I can't take away the fact that my partner had cancer twice, butchered by a doctor that I worked with and trusted, and was going through courts with his ex-wife to even keep access to his children. So that time of life was fucking stressful. For me to expect to stay down below 20% in that time of my life really isn't reasonable, right? I've hurt my back recently. It's unreasonable for me to expect to heal down below 20%. So you need to be in a really good spot in life and easily be able to hold your body fat down that low. But it certainly is possible. Certainly is possible. The next step from there to get super strong and go, well, I'd rather sit at about 20% because I can eat a little bit more food. It means I can go out and, be a little more lax. I can have the odd drink once in a while. And I actually feel really good at about 20% body fat. But you might go, but I don't have quite as much look as I want. That's when you really want to be heading for the next goal, which would be doing all those exact things. Double your deadlift, double your body weight, squat 1.5 your body weight, bench same as your body weight. But you want to be doing that for reps. So you've gone from 1 rep max. So for example, a deadlift 100 kilos by 7 is a 120 kilo 1 rep max. That's your first point. But if you don't want to be at that lower percentage of body fat and you want to keep more the 20, around the 20%, maybe a little bit higher, but still have some muscle, then you've got to start thinking, well, really, I need to be able to move 120 kilos off the ground for multiple reps, not just a 1 rep max anymore. And I need to actually physically be able to do it. A 1 rep max doesn't necessarily mean you could move that. It's just a number, a theoretical number. Most of the time people can, but it is just a theoretical number. So that next level is, can I deadlift double my body weight for reps? Can I squat 1.5 times or a squat pattern 1.5 times my body weight? So they're the sorts of numbers that you're looking for. That's the type of strength that you want. And for an average height woman, when we talk about lean muscle mass and using the theoretical mathematical calculation, not DEXA scans and all the rest of it, what I see more often than not is women who are an average height that have 50 plus kilos of lean muscle mass are the ones who are strong and show it in their body. Okay, so that's kind of where you want to be heading. So if you've ever gone, well, everyone keeps telling me I need muscle and I need to be strong. How much muscle? How strong should I be? This is exactly where you should be sitting and should be aiming for. And the only way you're going to get there doing it is progressive overload. So you're progressing your strength every week, fueling yourself so your training is at its best, making sure what fuel you're putting into your body is absolutely optimal with nutrients. So we want to fill it with really yummy but nutrient dense foods, not lots of fake foods like protein bars and shakes and things like that. Yes, occasionally they are fine, but let's fill it more with, fruits and root vegetables and honey, grass-fed meats, wild-caught seafood, dairy, sourdough, like all of these really eggs, all of these really, really yummy foods that are packed full of nutrients. So we supply our body so it can grow the muscle, because when it grows the muscle, you are going to get stronger. And then you put the stimulus on in the gym with enough energy behind you because you've fueled correctly, you've looked at your timing. So you start with nutrients, get enough nutrients in your body so your body can grow muscle. Time your food so you have energy going into the gym, so you can put as much effort as possible in towards growing that muscle. And then train in a way that provides a stimulus to the muscle, which is mechanical tension, lifting close to failure, and progressive overload. That really is the recipe for growing muscle. And then just work towards those numbers. Now, does that mean that you can't diet or, lose some body fat in the meantime? A lot of women can recomp while reaching those numbers. That is growing muscle and losing body fat. If you have quite a high body fat percentage, so above 30%, you can actually be in a technical deficit, grow muscle and lose plenty of body fat all at once and feel fabulous because you do have a higher body fat. For those who are probably around the 25%, you want to sit in about recomp. Those who are already 20% or below and don't look the way you want to look, you've actually got to work towards bringing your calories up. So there's lots of different ways that you can, and everyone's got a different starting point, but essentially at the end of the day, how strong do you need to be? Double your body weight deadlift, 1.5 your body weight in a squat pattern, and body weight in a chest press pattern. That is what you're looking for. All right. So that was a nice, quick, short one, but I think it really gets to the point in answering the question that I'm getting in my DMs a lot, because we're seeing that out there so much about you need to be stronger. And I'm getting women going, yeah, but how strong? I lift this much. Not strong enough yet. Keep going. And it does take time. So that's for this week. Join me next week, and I'm actually going to be touching on the different starting points and what sort of a journey that your body composition could take at different starting points.